As you work with AngularJS directives and data binding expressions, there's going to be times when you need to filter the data or maybe sort the data. And fortunately, AngularJS out of the box provides filters that can perform this type of functionality. And that's what we're going to talk about in this section. So out of the box, you get support for these built-in filters. And the way it works is you can pipe data that you have, whether it's through a directive or a data binding expression, into these different types of filters. And you could filter data to maybe filter out some things you don't want. You can format data such as dates or currencies. And you could even sort data as you're iterating through it with something like an ng repeat. And the way it works is it uses a pipe character, as you see here. So I have a very literal pipe, as you can see down here. And to illustrate how this works, let's look at an example. So if we had the data 9.9912 and we want to send that through this piping system, imagine that maybe in the middle of the pipe is a filter, and that filter manipulates the data in some way. And in this case, we're going to do a currency filter. Now what's going to happen is this raw data gets fed into the currency filter. The currency filter obviously does currency. And so if you're in the US, you'd have dollars. If you're in the UK, you'd have pounds. And it just depends where you're at in the world as far as how the currency is filtered. But in this case, since I'm in the US, it would be $9.99. And so with just a little bit of code you'll see, we can do this filtering, formatting, and sorting. And it's actually a really powerful feature because you get some filters out of the box. But if you don't like what's out of the box, or maybe you just need to enhance it, you can actually write custom filters as well. So it's really powerful that way and very flexible. Now here's a list of the key AngularJS filters that ship out of the box. So you can format data as a currency, as I just showed. You can also work with dates. So if you had, for instance, a string value that's a date, but you want to format it in a different date format, long date, short date, or whatever it may be, you can do that. You can also come in and apply filters to data. This is actually a really cool feature where maybe as a user types, you want to filter down a set of rows you have in a table based on what they type. You can also output data as raw JSON. This is kind of useful in debugging type scenarios. So if you had an object, you can pipe it out as JSON. You can work with arrays and limit to maybe 4 items. Instead of maybe there's 10 items in the array, you could just say I want to limit it to 4 or 5 or whatever it is. There's also the ability to take some data, in this case string data, and do a lowercase, or you'll see down here there's an uppercase. You can format it as a number, and finally you can take data, such as data in an ng repeat, and you can order that data or sort that data. Here's an example of using a few of these different filters. So we have an ng repeat, and you can see we're going to say for each cust in customers, let's go ahead and order those by the name property. So you'll notice that the property actually gets put in these quotes here. So for each cust in customers, order by the name property. And what that will do is now the LIs will obviously be sorted by name. Now, as we iterate through each customer, we're going to write out the order total. We'll assume that's maybe a decimal, and I'm going to pipe that data through the currency filter, like I showed earlier, and that'll automatically format it for whatever your locale is. So we have the order customers by name property, and then we have the format as currency, and this makes it really, really easy to work with these. And you'll notice that I'm not even writing JavaScript code, and yet I'm able to filter, I'm able to sort, and you can format. Now here's another example of what you can do. In fact, we have 2 pipes you'll notice here. So we're first going to come in and I'm going to take each customer that we have in our customers collection and I'm going to filter those based on a name text property. Now in this case, name text is actually a model property, and you'll notice it's defined up here using ng model. Now once it's filtered, then I'm going to take those filtered results and pipe them through a sort or order by, and we're going to sort whatever's left by the name property. Now as we write out cust name and cust city, it's going to be filtered based on whatever we type here, and we're going to sort. And so this provides a really powerful way to do filtering, and you can even write your own custom filters. Now I'll show a demonstration of this in just a moment, but that's a quick look at some of the different filters and different operations you can perform, whether you're using directives or data binding expressions. So let's jump into a demonstration and I'll show how you can put these filters to use.